All right, so this is going to be one of the first attempts at a overlay. I'm going to do it at a completely different type of video. We're going to talk about what's on the screen, which is going to be a little animation thing that I made. It's going to be an interesting conversation. So we're going to talk about awkwardness, very much in the sense of the kind of awkward videos that I've been making in general now, like a lot of the eye contact, pointing at you, basically just a lot of stuttering, unedited one-shots. There is the one video that had some editing to it, the one where I was talking about the TV show review. But outside of that, I mean, everything's been a one-shot, like me just recording once I'm done with work, talking about a topic, editing, and then uploading. And the editing is very basic. It's just a generic transitions, title card, thumbnail, put it out there. That's the extent of what I've been doing. I've been trying out different transitions, sort of. I have been using some transitions over and over, but different title cards I have used, different thumbnails. The descriptions tend to be around about the same. And I've actually added a Patreon to the description of most of the videos, and I think to the page. And then on the Patreon, I'll probably also do some videos and put some stuff up there. The Patreon is actually going to be where I think I'm going to do a large majority of the reacting and any sort of like gaming or anything that I do. I think it's going to be a little bit easier. I think their terms and conditions are a little bit more lax when it comes to you taking content and creating something as a result of you either playing or watching something and not having to do the extensive amount of editing that you have to do with YouTube. I mean, I get that I'm still gonna have to do the YouTube editing because I'm going to still make these kinds of ranty sort of videos. But there will be a link for the Patreon for me to do sort of unedited, just straight up reaction videos. And I'm going to try and do more reaction videos similar to, I guess, what I'll put up on Patreon, but I'm gonna have to think of a way to do it because I know fair use, I think, is like the sort of catch-all that people do a lot of the reacting under. But being that I already have a video that's been taken down for no particular reason, I'm gonna be very, very particular about how I put stuff up because apparently they're just gunning for everybody now. They just, I don't know. So here's what we'll do. We'll talk about the graphic. The graphic is very basic. The whole idea of the graphic is just to kind of walk through, I guess, in my own opinion, what people deal with when it comes to being uncomfortable, and just the general. I mean, people are going to disagree with me, right? I mean, that's just kind of the nature of opinion. I personally think this is kind of accurate. It boils down the whole process that people go through when it comes to dealing with situations, whether it's confrontations, feeling uncomfortable at work, feeling uncomfortable in a relationship. These are the general sort of stages that I feel like people tend to go through. And there's going to be a rationale and reasoning behind everything that I'm going to say. Okay, so each little section is going to get its own rant. So the denial aspect. So when it comes to being uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable doing this. I do this because I enjoy the sound of my own voice. I enjoy talking. I enjoy the attention, whether it's deserved or not. I enjoy the attention and people looking at me, like hearing what I have to say, because I think I got important stuff to say. And I'm one of the people that needs to say it. But there's a denial that I feel like a lot of people have when it comes to being uncomfortable because they try and rationalize it as other things. So they'll say, like, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable because like I need to learn more about the situation. I need to just." There's a reason why people tend to be uncomfortable with the situation, and I think that people don't acknowledge that all the time. They either feel victimized and they're just like, "Oh no, like I'm not uncomfortable. Like I need to learn more," or they're like, "Well, if I tell people that I'm uncomfortable, then like people are gonna look at me, so they just try and act like they're not uncomfortable at all. They're just like, oh no, like I'm not comfortable. Like what are you talking about? Like I'm not comfortable in the situation. I'll try and overcompensate for the uncomfortability that they're currently feeling. Again, all of these things, that's why I made it a circle, but that's why it's a circle. The denial leads into the avoidance. So you deny, or you're dealing with that portion, and that leads into the avoidance of the actual issue, the thing that's making you uncomfortable. And you just kind of circle around to, oh no, I need to learn more about the situation. So if it's me dealing with, being at work and I feel uncomfortable about something, it's maybe because I don't understand what my boss wants from me, or maybe I don't understand what the job itself needs, or maybe I don't understand the industry the right way. So like I'm going to avoid why I feel uncomfortable. I'm just going to I'm going to start dealing with all of that, because most people don't actually process any of the stuff that they're dealing with. You avoid all that and you just focus on something else. Okay. That focusing can lead to an exploration. The issue is most people don't actually learn to process through and deal with the actual problem. So what they're exploring are ways to circumvent actually having to deal with the issue, like why they're feeling uncomfortable. And they can just kind of move themselves into the next stage, which would be the disingenuous effort, which is them forcing themselves to be in the situation, to deal with the situation in a way that they can sort of outwardly seem like it's been resolved, so that they don't have to feel uncomfortable. A lot of people will still feel uncomfortable in that situation, but they'll just kind of keep pushing until people stop bothering them about it. I know this from personal experience. There's tons of situations that I've been in, and I say that now drawing an absolute blank on the situation. I'm sure I could think of many things if I wasn't recording anything, but situations where you run into a problem, you're like, oh man, I feel uncomfortable now because someone can think that, imposter syndrome, whatever the issue is, I'm going to go into denial. From that denial, then they're like, well, maybe I'll avoid the situation, maybe I'll talk about it. Okay, well, no, maybe I'll try and figure out how to deal with the situation, not the uncomfortability of the situation, and like me getting to that point in the first place, but just this specific moment, like how do I deal with that? And then trying to push out an effort to make it seem like, oh, ha, 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 like some people using comedy, some people using anger. A lot of times is like a knee-jerk reaction to people being uncomfortable. They'll run through all of the cycles real quick and be like denial, anger, because they just don't want to feel unintelligent or like they're outside of the loop or they don't know or understand something, which, I mean, it happens. There are tons of things that I don't know how to do what I'm currently doing. I'm just kind of ranting at a screen, which I enjoy, because then I get to rant at the screen. That's fun. But a lot of people won't focus on doing the work beforehand, so they aren't feeling as unprepared, which I feel like for a lot of people is where that uncomfortable feeling comes from, where they feel uncomfortable, whether it's, like I said, work, they feel uncomfortable in social settings because they feel like financially they're not in a great spot, or emotionally they're not in the right spot, where it's relationships, and there wasn't the preparation leading up to it. So now they're in an uncomfortable spot, and then they're running through these cycles constantly. I think that it's something that people should address. I think it's something that people should do the hard work and the effort beforehand to deal with, because dealing with those situations in a public setting can feel very shaming. Like, it can feel like people are looking at you and they're judging you in a very harsh way that can stifle real productive growth. People will then just kind of figure out how to deal with this situation in the moment so they can get themselves out of it. And there may not actually be any real change happening. They're just learning, okay, this is just the coping mechanism I'm going to use for this problem. So I feel uncomfortable at work. I feel imposter syndrome at work. I feel like in a relationship this, okay, when I feel this, what do? I do this. I don't feel that anymore. I'll just do that thing. And that may not even be a healthy way to deal with it. Sometimes I guess it could be if that ends up being what they're comfortable with. But them not dealing with it beforehand, them not doing the work beforehand, tends to cause a lot of anxiety, where that's why, a lot of people have the issues they have with relationships and a lot of issues they have with, bouncing from job to job. And it's something that I think a lot more people should talk about, which is why the video. So I would love to hear people's take on it. Again, a lot of a rant here, but just let me know what you think.